Recently, I was asked a question about what I would do if I could go back in time and visit myself at some point in the past. And how old would I go back to? Like, would I talk to myself when I was 10 or 12 or 20 or what is it? And what would I say? So the subject for today is called mastery. Actually, it's 3 steps to mastery. I'm going to share with you one of the strategies that I got from Tony Robbins. I think it is the way to go ahead and master anything. I know you're going to love the show.
Cowboy.
Welcome to a daily dose of greatness quest with your host, Trevor Crane, my daddy. He is going to help you take your life and business to the next level.
Here I come to save the day.
Trevor Crane here, 11-time #1 best-selling author and the founder of Epic Author Publishing, coming to you live every day so you can plug in every day to build your ideal business so you can live your ideal life.
If my daddy can do it, then anybody can do it because he's a weirdo.
You're supposed to make me sound cool.
All right, 3 steps to mastery. Now, whether you want to be a better leader, entrepreneur, coach, consultant, a better husband, a better wife, a better friend, whether you want to master marketing or become a black belt or whatever it is. And I'm in the process of looking at things in my life right now and upping my game when it comes to what it's going to take to become a master at the level that I want to be at different things. So I just started playing tennis for the first time kind of ever. I took lessons when I was maybe 18 or 19 years old for like 6 months or 3 months or something when I was in college. And they showed me how to hold a racket, and that was about it. You know, maybe I swung the racket around, and I don't even remember what I learned back then. And since then, over the years, I probably only played, a couple of dozen times. And recently, on one of my other podcasts, I was mentioning that it really frustrated me that I don't play sports anymore. When I was a little kid, I used to play all the time. We used to run track, used to play football, used to play basketball. I mean, if there was a sport, I tried to do it. The only one I didn't get into as a little kid was golf. And I loved it. I loved the competition. I loved the growth. I loved the challenge. And I loved putting my heart and soul into something and really learning how to play. When I finally started a sport in college that was like a college sport, I played rugby at Arizona State University on the college rugby team. And it was great because it was a new sport for me. I was scared to try anything new like anybody else. I mean, a lot of people might not admit that we as adults get scared of stuff, but the truth is I was scared. I was a young adult, but my buddy was going to go play rugby, and so it was a little more comfortable for me, so I went out and tried to do it. And when I started playing rugby, I sucked. Like, I didn't know the rules of the game. And I'm not the biggest guy in the world. You probably hear my voice right now, and you're like, oh, my God, this guy is like the white rock. Like, his hair and eyebrows are more transparent. Like, I'll bet you this Trevor guy is from the future. And I'm sure he's huge. He's like got to be as big as Tony Robbins. That is not the case. I don't care how cool you think my voice is. I've always been a little guy. All right, I'm more like the white Kevin Hart. That's what my wife called me last night. She's like, all right, anyway, hold on another subject. Okay, rugby. I started rugby, and I was sucking miserably at it. Didn't even understand the rules. Now, I had heart. I had desire. I was trying to do well, trying to show up in front of these other rugby players in college. My senior year, I start off in a brand new sport trying to make my college team. And it wasn't until I'm going to give you the 3 steps tonight. Let me start giving you what the 3 steps to mastery are so you've got them, and then I'm going to finish the story here in a little bit. So the 3 steps to mastery that I learned from Tony Robbins. And he shares this at his the first event I ever went to. It's called Unleash the Power Within. I attended my first seminar with Tony Robbins in September of 2002. So it's like 16 years later now, and what Tony taught me at that event truly changed my life in all areas. And I'll say that maybe he didn't change my life. He helped me change my life because he didn't do necessarily anything. He gave me some tools. He talked to me about some truth, and he challenged me to step up and lead and step up and become the man that would not just follow, but that would lead and stand beside him, which is now what I'm committed to doing every single day of my life to try to help people, teach them to become rich and happy. Okay? So I just can't properly describe how grateful I am for that gift that Tony gave me. So that's why I have my podcast and a variety of other things in my life. I met my wife at a Tony Robbins event where we were both volunteering. So at this first event, he taught us a little formula that he called like the secrets to mastery, or the 3 steps to mastery. And your road to mastery I'll give you now. So step number 1 is modeling. And if you have heard this before, then I'm reminding you that maybe you should listen again and look into more depth of how you can actually model someone. Or I'm going to give you the 3 steps right now. They're modeling, total immersion, and spaced repetition. And we'll go over them one at a time. But modeling, this is not just modeling someone. What Tony talks about is modeling somebody who's absolutely, totally outstanding. And in his event, he tells a story about how he went out for his first polo lesson. And it's one of the funniest stories he actually ever shares. My dad plays polo, and so when I first got to introduce him to Tony and see my dad's reaction to that whole story, it was just amazing. But when Tony went out to play polo for the first time, he didn't know how to ride, and he had kind of a challenging experience. And what he did is he got a little bit better taking lessons from the local instructor, the guy that had a great heart and kind of knew what he was doing, and gave Tony a great experience, but he wasn't making progress. He had to go take riding lessons. It was really frustrating for him, and he just wasn't really killing it. So what he did is he decided to practice the steps of mastery and find someone who is absolutely outstanding at what they did. Now, when I choose a mentor, I'm looking for a mentor that is outstanding, and I measure them based on, number 1, that they have created great results for themselves, and number 2, that they have experience helping other people create great results. This is my measure, not Tony's. But Tony talks about in mastery, you want to find someone who is at the best at what they do, who is absolutely and totally outstanding. And so he found an instructor. Hold on one second. Computer, stop. That was my alarm going off. He found an instructor. He found someone who was a professional polo player, who was one of the top of his game. And he made a deal with him to go ahead and get him to teach Tony how to play polo. And what happened is in the next year, in the next 6 months, whatever it was, Tony's game of polo went to heights no one could ever believe. He got most valuable player because he was modeling the best of the best. And that person showed them these little nuances that, he didn't work any harder. He just worked a significant amount smarter. And Tony won best, most improved player in that first season that he was playing polo because of his experience working with someone who he modeled someone absolutely outstanding. Now, step number 2 in total mastery is immersion. And total immersion. So when Tony talks about this, he shares that that's why he does a 3-day event. Actually, it's a 4-day event. And then he invites people back to come to another event with him called Date with Destiny. And that's like a week or 5 days or 7 days or something like that. And this is a really important part. When I was out trying to play rugby, I was barely surviving on the field. I didn't really know how to tackle. I didn't know the rules of the game. I was making mistakes all over the place. I didn't know how to throw the ball, catch the ball, run, whatever it was. So they offered a weekend workshop where we would go and do this intensive workshop and just play rugby all weekend. And I excelled massively with the total immersion experience. In fact, I'll pat myself on the back for a moment. I won most improved player at the camp because we went to this rugby camp. And by the time I was done, because of the total immersion, because we did nothing else but get up in the morning and live, eat, and sleep, this rugby thing, I learned the rules of the game. I learned how to play. I learned how I could use my talents and skills in that environment. It would have taken me all year to come up with what I learned in an intensive event, which is right now why I am part of several mentoring groups and mastermind groups that I attend and go spend my money to fly on airplanes all around the world and spend my time and money to go ahead and take away from my family and do a variety of things so that I can push myself to a total immersion event. This is also why in my wife's business and in my business, I have immersion events and experiences just like I learned from Tony, because I know if you're going to learn something or master something, you need to jump in with both feet. Or you can dabble and not master anything. And so I'm experiencing this right now as I'm learning to play tennis. So let's move into step number 3, spaced repetition. So I just talked to my tennis coach this morning, and he's teaching this group class, and my wife and I have now been to a handful of these lessons, and he complimented me that I have a really nice stroke, but I have the worst accuracy. I'm probably the worst player at the club. My wife was doing so well today with tennis, and she's had less instruction than I have. She was just killing it. Like, she was doing amazing. And I'm disgusted with how poorly I'm doing. Now, should I be mad at myself? I'm not mad at myself. I haven't ever really done it. But if I want to become my best, which is the purpose of my show, Greatness Quest, for me personally, to become my best at anything and everything that I try to do, I'm looking in tennis and I'm like, damn it. Not only do I need total immersion, not only do I need to model the best, so I now just talked to my tennis coach today about hiring him for private lessons. And I'm going to start going to private lessons, and whether I go to 1, 10, 20, 100, I'm not sure. But what I do know is that I need spaced repetition. At the end of today's miserable showing that I had playing tennis this morning with my wife, where I got totally schooled, like I said, I feel like I'm the worst person at the club. And this is just a local YMCA. I don't know what it costs. It's not even that much more to join the tennis part. It was just now I picked up the little rackets that they give you, and then I'm playing. But he said, Trevor, what you need are reps. He goes, I said, I want to hire you for private lessons. I want to get some help. I know what it's going to take to become good at this, and I want to become the best. I want to become my best. I want to beat everybody at the club. I didn't actually tell him that. I'm now admitting that to you. I would think it would be a great story if I said I was the worst at the club, and then I could go ahead and beat everybody. How cool would that be? Then we'll see. I don't know. I don't know that I've honestly set that goal, although I kind of had. The little kid in me wants to go ahead and just say, I can do it. I want to be the most improved player in the shortest period of time. Well, what is it going to take? I'm going to take lessons from the best in the club. That's the coach. I'm going to, that's the tennis pro. I'm going to go total immersion, where I'm going to almost every group class I can possibly make, because he's only got availability so much time during the weekends, and we're into every single class trying. I showed up for 2 lessons in one day, once in the morning, one in the afternoon, and he's like, it was the first day I coached with him. He's like, what is your problem? Like, what are you competing for? And it's, for me, it's to become my best. And now what I recognize that I need this spaced repetition and consistency. And my coach, this new tennis coach, pro, he wouldn't sell me one class. Not that I was looking for it, but he said, I don't sell less than 4 sessions with me, because in one session, it's not enough. And so in my program that I work with people in Epic Author Publishing, or in my Epic Author Accelerator, or in our Legacy Mastermind group and different things, like, the intention is a commitment of time. Minimum is 3 months to work with someone. The average, typically it's a 6-month program. My average client is 6 to 12 months to lifetime client, because what they need is total immersion. They need the consistency, but we also need to master something. We need spaced repetition. Repetition. And he said, Trevor, nothing is going to replace the reps. He goes, if you're going to go out and play with your wife, don't just play. If you guys are going to practice on your own, he's like, you need to practice one shot and work on one thing, and don't do it 3 or 4 times, do it 50 times. So I'm talking to you right now about the advice my tennis pro gave me this morning on trying to just improve my stroke. And it's not that I have the worst form in the world. I have pretty good form. He said, you're holding the racket and you're swinging it pretty well. Your accuracy and the way that you're hitting the ball sucks. And it's not because you suck. It's because I don't have the reps. He's like, just hit it lightly, just be consistent, and then there you go. So my advice to you, my challenge to you, is to pick something that you are committed to mastering, and apply these things. Apply modeling, total immersion, and spaced repetition into your daily, your weekly, your monthly protocol. Like, whatever that means to you. The 3 steps here are the road to mastery. I didn't make them up. I'm just sharing with you what seems to frickin' work. And I look forward to, oh my God, wouldn't it be really cool if I said I won like a tennis round robin or tournament or whatever they call them. I don't know what it calls when you join a tennis champion. I don't know, something. If my club has one and we compete against each other, I'm going to join. And I'm sure right now I will lose. But it would be a great celebration to win and be the best. And really what I'm trying to do is not beat everyone else. I'm trying to be my best. So I challenge you to be your best. And not just at tennis, but at being the best mom, and about being the best speaker, and about being the best author, and about being the best friend, and about being the best son or daughter, and lover, and leader, and learner, whatever it is for you. And I'm looking at every single one of these categories, and I'm looking at just the facts of where I am, the fruit of what I have created, so that I can be proud and congratulate myself of where I'm at, but then I challenge myself to go to the next level of where I need to go, where I have no choice but to expand. And I'm committed to getting better in all of these areas. I don't want to be someone who's great at one or two things. I want to have it all. I want to become the best leader, the best father, the best businessman, the best friend, the best son. I want all of those things. The best father, all of them. I don't want some of it. A lot of people talk about that. Most people preach about that. One of the things I'm most excited about to be part of the Wake Up Warrior movement, I'm sure you've heard me talk about this before, is that there's a group of men and now women that are committed to that code of living a life of having it all. And that's what my commitment is. I want to live life without limits. I want to have it all. And I don't want to sit back and make excuses. I want to tell you about how my setbacks were setups for success versus my excuses for why I didn't create shit. I'm guessing if you're still listening to me that you have some part of you that believes the same thing. And it doesn't mean you got to do it all, but it does mean that you got to get started. So pick something to become better at today. And pick something that you want to master. I'm in the process of reading some books right now, and I'm going through Expert Secrets, for example, and it's the 4th or 5th or maybe 6th time. I'm getting confused about how many times I'm reading it because I'm going back and some chapters are more relevant to me than others, and I'm listening to them again and again and again, and I'm listening to them on audio. I have the physical book. I take notes. I'm going through it, and I'm going to go through it again, and I'm going to go through it again, and my guess is I will probably read that book 10 or 20 times, and then again. And then I'm going to read it again. And I'm looking at some of the masterful books that I've had in the past and that I've consumed. And it's time to go back and consume them, not just once, not just twice, but to go ahead and understand the journey of mastery and commit myself to these 3 steps. And I don't know what you're going to commit yourself to, but for the love of all that is holy, pick something that you aspire to master, and then break down the formula. And it starts with a start. If you listen to my podcast, it wasn't but a couple of weeks ago, I was bitching and whining and complaining that I was walking in the dark, looking at my gym, looking at the tennis courts, and whining and telling you my story about why I don't play sports anymore. And making excuses. And today, it's just a couple weeks later, I've now got some experience under my belt. Is it pretty? No. Is it beautiful? No, it's the worst. But that doesn't mean that that's where it's going to be in the future. All right. Have the courage to get started. Have the courage to suck first. Everybody sucks at first. Have the courage to suck. Anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly first. All right. I know that there's some good quotes in there. I don't remember where they are. Someone probably said all that stuff before. But that's it. Make today magnificent. Pick something that you can master. And then I'll see you tomorrow on another Daily Dose of Greatness Quest. To get even more awesomeness, which means all my best stuff, download my app by texting Trevor to 36260. It will show up right on your cell phone. Just text message the word Trevor to 36260. Talk to you soon.